Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're really excited to have Gonzalo Garcia here. He is a captain at the BSO in the fire division. He has his associate's degree from Broward College in fire science, as well as a bachelor's and a master's. And I think there's no one better than to tell us about his career and himself than Gonzalo. So please introduce yourself and tell us about what you're doing right now.
Well, hello. My name is Gonzalo Garcia. I am a captain with the Broward Sheriff's Office in the Fire Rescue Division. Currently, I'm working out of Cooper City, which is Fire Station 28. So we work shift hours where we work for 24 hours on and we're off for 24, so for 48. So that allows us some flexibility in our schedule. And that's where I'm at. I manage a fire station of about 12 people and one fire inspector. And every day it's interesting and rewarding.
I imagine 30 years, you really must know so much. So tell us where you went to high school and then how you ended up landing at Broward College. You have some great stories to tell. I'd love to hear about it.
I went to high school at Hialeah High and I did well, but I graduated and I wanted to get a car. So being young, I wanted to get a car and I put priority in that. And I went to school at night or part-time. I worked full-time and I graduated high school. Um, then I went on to, at the time, Miami-Dade College, just part-time. But I wasn't in the mindset, excuse me, mindset of education at the time. I was young, and as we all do, I wanted to be with my friends and hanging out and so forth. And as of course, my grades, weren't there. So after about a year, I said, you know what, I need to do something different because I need to just I didn't feel like college was working out for me. That's when I joined the military, and I was a paramedic in the military, and that really structured me to learn the importance of education, the dedication. So I did 3 years in the active duty Army, and I continue on to the Army Reserve for another 5 years after that. And in 1990, I got hired with the fire rescue. At the time, it was Dania Beach Fire Rescue. And right after I started that, I started my education, and I went to Broward College. It just seemed a better fit than Miami-Dade. They're at the time a little smaller than they are now, but they were very helpful. Any questions I had, they were there. The mentors were great. The counselors were outstanding. So I loved going there, and I got my associate degree. I also got my fire officer certificate, which would later help me in my career and promotions. I also got my fire inspector certificate, which again would help me on my job and throughout my career. So Broward College was really a good foundation, positive foundation for my education as I went on to my bachelor and even to my master's degree.
Were you able to be working while you were getting your fire degree in fire science?
Yes, because of our flexibility of our schedule, I was able to both work full time and go to school, and that was very nice. Sometimes there was a day a class that was also a time that I was working, so I have to find somebody to work for me for a couple of hours. I went to school, and then I will pay them back on my days off. I'll come in to work for them for a couple of hours. So it was a bit of sacrifice, but that's why you appreciate it because there is a little bit of sacrifice involved in it.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a great camaraderie in that. So what was the best advice that you were given going through the extensive training and education you've had? We'd love to hear your best advice that you were given.
The best advice I was giving was from, and it's funny because when you hear the same best advice from people who've been around a while, it tends to have a little bit more weight. And that best advice was get your education because we work at a job where you could get hurt and you're not working anymore. You can yeah, get burned out early and not be able to work in the fire department anymore. So get your education because once you have your education, that's yours. You can take that anywhere. So the best advice was get education, whether it be related to your fire department, where you can grow through the ranks that help you, or something just totally outside that interests you and you want to do that on the side. but getting the education was definitely the best advice.
Oh, that's great. Now, do you have a favorite quote that you would want to share?
My favorite quote is it's Psalm 27:17 that says, "As iron sharpens iron, so does one man sharpen another." And it the way I take it is, wouldn't it be great if we can all share what we've learned, good times and bad times, experiences, share that with others and make life maybe a little simpler, a little better for others. I certainly enjoy that when I got good mentorship through my senior officers and my senior workers. They gave me great advice. It was advice mostly that they learned, on their own through hard times or difficult times. So I think anytime we can help somebody else, from events that we've gone through, I think that's a great outcome.
Well, and I bet you've saved many lives. You're probably being very modest, but I'm sure you've seen so many things that you could potentially share. So with everything you've been through, name something that you're super excited about.
Um, I'm super excited about I'm looking at retirement in about 3 years, and I'm super excited about. Luckily, I'm healthy. When I retire, my wife will retire with me, so we're looking forward to doing a little bit of traveling. I have one daughter that this year finished her law school and is working as an attorney, and I have another daughter that has 2 years left to finish her doctorate in occupational therapy. So about a year after that, the wife and I should retire. The kids are on their own. They're well, and that's just what I'm looking for right now.
And I bet you'll be still finding ways to give back to the community because I think deep
Oh
down
yeah.
that's how you are. So we'll look forward to that, and hopefully, with all your degrees, you also can do some teaching and give back in the educational way to impart your wisdom. So, do you have any heroes that you might want to share with us? Somebody that's a role model or hero for you?
That through the career, I've had so many people that have been positive influence in me. Um, but I think ultimately my biggest heroes are my parents. We're immigrant family. We came from Cuba. So when they were like in their early 30s, they took three kids. They left where my dad had a successful business in, in a really large inheritance coming to him. We left all of that. We came to this country with three kids, nowhere to go, didn't know the language, and my parents just sacrificed everything for us, and we were able to make it, where we are today. And that's I can't say enough about that.
Yeah, that's a fantastic story. I hope that I don't know if they're around to see the success of their grandchildren, but I'm sure their legacy is carrying on through all that you've accomplished, and then of course your children from what you've shared with us. I think the theme of education must be very, very strong, and they must have imparted that in you to see all
Mhm.
the degrees that you've earned, as well as encouraging your children to keep on with education. So what do you foresee for the future, knowing all that you know?
On a personal level, like I said, I'd see the retirement with my wife and do a little traveling. But obviously, we're not going to be away constantly. But that's one of the reasons why I went on to get my master's degree, because I figure a master's degree in public administration, I have a bachelor's degree in emergency disaster management. So, in 30 years, 30 something years of experience, I think that'll give me a good foundation to be able to teach some courses, some public education courses, emergency management courses. Um, and to be honest, I would rather teach it through a Broward college, initial 2 or 4 year university, as opposed to go into a large university, because I think that's when people are more influential. They're just trying to figure out what area do I want to go to, what I want to do, and sometimes we do change our minds. But that's a good area because they're really thirsty for education.
That's great. That's wonderful to hear. And we will make sure that our staff and our faculty at the Institute know about that. Last but not least, how about some words of wisdom from you that you would want to share with our our audience about your success coming from you?
Oh, words of wisdom. There's there's a lot of ways to get to be successful, but I think ultimately dedication to something you believe. For me, it was always about whatever I decided to do. It would be something that I would be serving others. So for me, to me, and that's something that I like to promote is that in whatever field you do, you don't have to work with for the public or public agency, but whatever you do, you can always dedicate your time to some organization. You can always dedicate your time to people. So that would be the words of wisdom, that in whatever you do, try to do something for others.
Well, that's great. Well, we can't thank you enough, not only for your service in the military, but your service to our community and all you do at the Broward Sheriff's Office and everything you said kindly about Broward College. We appreciate, and we appreciate you. So thank you again for doing this interview.
Thank you, Jill.